EIGRP stub routing in NixOS. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can configure EIGRP stub routing feature in NixOS. I talked about the EIGRP stub feature in iOS, and if you need to review the feature, you should first watch the video of the EIGRP stub in iOS, and after that you can use this video to learn about the configuration of EIGRP stub in NixOS. Before I configure the EIGRP stub in NixOS, I'm going to review this feature, and after that we can configure the EIGRP stub. Let me talk about the EIGRP stub in this scenario. In this scenario, you know that you can see that we have switch 1, switch 2, and switch 3. These three, for example, switch now have EIGRP neighborship between them. And also, you know that if I configure NixOS1 as the EIGRP stub, this means that when NixOS2, the switch 2, advertise 10.2.0/24 to NixOS1, NixOS1 doesn't advertise this update to the NixOS2 because this is a stub router. And also, when NixOS3 advertise 10.3.0/24 to the NixOS1 as a neighbor, NixOS1 doesn't advertise this update to the NixOS2 because this is a stub router, and NixOS1 doesn't want to be a transit router. Also, the stub router only advertises part of its EIGRP, for example, topology table. And for example, in NixOS1, we can configure this switch only advertise its directly connected interfaces, not the learned routes from other neighbors. This is the stub feature. Another feature about the stub is that when a router, for example, switch 2, asks with the query from the NixOS1 about a subnet, it should respond with the inaccessible. This means that I don't have an idea about this route. I am a stub router. I can't answer the query about about the routes other than routes that I have. Okay, we learned about the EIGRP stub. Here I'm going only to configure it, and we're seeing some result of the EIGRP stub feature. Let's first configure this scenario. After that we can talk about the detail of the stub feature. NixOS1 conf-t hostname is switch 1. Also we have three interface ETH21, the first interface on the switch 1. First we should configure no switch port, then we should configure IP address as 10.1.2.1/24, then no shutdown. Again, we have interface ETH22 this is the interface ETH22 with the IP address of the 10.1.0.1/24. First we should configure this interface as the no switch port, and then IP address 10.1.0 for example 1/24, then no shutdown. This is the second command. And after that, interface ETH23, first command is the no switch port, the second command is IP address 10.1.3.1/24, and then no shutdown. That's it. This is the configuration of the IP addressing in the switch 1. Also, we need to configure the feature EIGRP. First feature EIGRP. After that, enabling the EIGRP on the ETH21, ETH22, and ETH23. Let me to configure. Starting with the router EIGRP Arash. Okay. First command is autonomous system 1. Then address family IPv for unicast should be enabled. Then we should go to the interface ETH21, enabling the IP router EIGRP, okay, Arash. This is the first interface. Then interface, for example, ETH22, IP router EIGRP Arash. And finally, interface ETH23, IP router EIGRP Arash. Show IP EIGRP interface, show us that we enabled the EIGRP on these three interfaces. Let's go to the switch 2. This is the switch 2, conf-t hostname switch 2, then interface ETH21, first no switch port, second IP addressing 10.1.2.2/24, then no shutdown. After that, interface ETH22, no switch port, IP address is 10.2.02/24, then no shutdown, for example. Finally, router, the first command for enabling EIGRP is feature EIGRP, okay? And then we should use the router EIGRP, or for example, Arash. The first command is address family IP v4 unicast. Then we should go to the interface. On the interface ETH21 with the IP router EIGRP Arash command. Then interface ETH22. And after that IP router EIGRP Arash. Now we enabled EIGRP, and this two interface show IP EIGRP interface brief can show us that we enabled EIGRP on ETH21 and also ETH22. Let's check the neighborship between router 1 and router 2, switch 1 and switch 2. Show IP EIGRP neighbors. We don't have neighbor. We should first check the reason. First checking the connectivity between these two switches. Ping, for example, 10.122, 10.121, the IP address of router 1, the switch 1. We have connectivity. After that, show IP EIGRP neighbors. We don't have neighborship. Again, show IP EIGRP, for example, interface brief. Okay, we enabled EIGRP on the ETH21 and also ETH22. It's okay. Let's check the NXOS1 again. Show IP EIGRP interface brief, for example. Or you can use show run EIGRP. Show run EIGRP is a useful command. We enabled router EIGRP Arash, autonomous system 1, address family IPv4 unicast. And after that, we enabled IP router EIGRP Arash on the EIGRP 21, 22, and 23. And if you need, you can check the IP addressing, for example, with the show IP interface brief. Okay, everything is, it seems is okay here. 10.1. Look at here, the IP address of the ETH21 is 10.121. The IP address of the ETH23 is 10.131, and the IP address of the ETH22 is 10.101. It's okay. Let's check the NXOS2's configuration. Show run EIGRP, the first command. As you can see, I didn't configure the autonomous system. I'm going to configure it, router EIGRP Arash, then autonomous system. Okay, autonomous system, and then after that, for example, 1. Now we will have neighborship, show IP EIGRP neighbors. We have neighborship. Let's go to the switch 3 and configuring the switch. The first command is hostname, switch 3, then interface ETH21. The first command is no switch port. The second command is IP address 10.133/24, no shutdown. After that, interface ETH22, no switch port. IP address is 10.303/24, and then no shutdown. We enabled EIGRP on these two interface. After that, we enabled IP address on these two interface. Then router EIGRP Arash. Okay, the first command, we didn't enable the feature EIGRP. First, we should enable the feature EIGRP, feature EIGRP. Then router EIGRP, okay, router EIGRP, the tag Arash, and after that we should configure the autonomous system 1. After that, enabling address family IPv4 unicast, and finally we should use EIGRP. We should configure EIGRP on interface 2.1 and also 2.2 IP router EIGRP Arash, and then interface ETH22 IP router EIGRP Arash. Now we should have a neighborship in this router with the router 1. Show IP EIGRP, for example, neighbors. Show IP EIGRP neighbors. We have a neighborship. On NXOS1, if you check in the neighborship table, show IP EIGRP neighbors, we have 2 neighbors. And also in the show IP route, you can see that we receive 2 routes with the EIGRP Arash. The first is 10.2.0.0 and the, for example, the first 10.2, the second 10.3.0.0/24 now is learned with the router 2 and from the router 2 and from router 3. It's okay. Also in NXOS2, in switch 2, if you check the routing table, show IP route EIGRP, you can see that we receive 3 routes with the EIGRP. First is 10.1.0.0, the connected network to NXOS1. The second is 10.1.3.0, the routes from the connected to NXOS3 from the router 1. And the final route is 10.3.0.0, that is received from the router 1. 10.1.3 is the link between router switch 1 and switch 3, and 10.3.0.0 is the IP address of the directly connected network to NXOS 3. Okay, and this is the default behavior.